Hey everybody, this is Dr. Bill Janishak on the Conquering Stress podcast. And again, I am so excited. I'm excited on every episode that we do. On this one is special because I met this special lady that we're coming on here, Dr. Jod Baer. Uh, she's been a healer forever and an author, but more than that, she's actually getting out there and she's leading movements. And in one of the things that we always talk about, and the reason that I do this is because that we want to get the information out to you guys, who's ever interested in getting it, to see that you can really make changes. You know, one of my favorite quotes is Thoreau's. You know, the massive men lead lives of quiet desperation. They die with just a song in their heart. And you know, I always talk about our meat suits and all the ologies that I get to get into. But the only reason that I believe that we have a physically fit body is to carry our spirit and our purpose and our energy around to impact ourselves and others to be the best, the very best that we can. So one of the things that we need to do is we need to lead in that. We've got to have those people out in the forefront that are talking about the important issues. And in health is sometimes we can yada that. Say, oh yeah, I'll get to the diet on Monday and we'll do this. I can go that. But I want you guys to know that it's really important. And nobody that I know is more dedicated this for without aging her is decades of doing this and making impacts on hundreds and thousands of people. And I finally wrangled her in here to give her message out. And I want to introduce Dr. Jod Baer. How are you doing today, my friend, my colleague, my confidant? How's
Oh,
life treating you?
if I was any better, there'd be three of me.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That would
Body,
be
mind, and
awesome. We
spirit.
had three of you going
Oh,
on. And
thank you, Dr. Bill,
I
for this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you.
oh no, it's awesome. I mean, you have amongst all the things that you've got going on, you have right there behind you is Essence of a Woman, which is a great book. Tell us about, well, actually, let me back up a second. Tell your wonderful story. How did you become this great healer and leader in the field of health and wellness and fitness?
So
When did
back
this
in
start?
'03, back
Back
in
in '03.
'03, back in '03. And yes, I don't mind telling anybody, I turned 70 this year and I'm proud of it. No facelift, no Botox, just me, Jody.
Good, good.
So, so I found health found me as a young mother. I had two babies. You ever get that phone call? It was my mother. And she said, Jody, I've got bad news. Well, she had stage 4 pancreatic and liver cancer. I bolted with my baby, my newborn, and my toddler back to Montana. And I found Edgar Casey's protocols. And not only dusted them off, I found liquid gold. You see, my mother didn't have 6 weeks to live. She had 3.5 years length of life. Thanks to the protocols that I'd found, I had just one health coaching certificate. I was helping breastfeeding mothers at the time. You always find your niche where you're
Yeah.
going. And and as she was transitioning, Bill, from this life into the next, she said, Jody, give others hope the way you've given it to me. So I went from breastfeeding moms to mops for toddlers. Here I am. Ever have one of those times, Bill? I know that you've had many in your life, your storied life. I pick up my 3.5-year-old son. He had tears in his eyes from preschool. Bill, who gets kicked out of preschool? My son did because he was me with testosterone. But what he said to me is, Mommy, am I always going to be sad? See, they wanted to put him on prescription drugs, the usual
Yeah.
psychotropic drugs. Fortuitously, Phil Donahue just passed the other day. It was on the Phil Donahue show. It was the back to school section. I just wanted to get his mind off something. I turned on TV and there was Dr. Hulda Clark, the iconic woman herself, her back to school edition. And she said, maybe these children don't have those letters after their name, like the diagnosis.
Yeah.
He said, perhaps they need to grow into their brilliance. Well, I dropped the luncheon plate. Everything went everywhere. When she said, I live outside of Atlanta. We were living in Atlanta at the time. Long story bearable. I went, now you think about it, this is 1983. There was no GPS, there was no MapQuest, there was no anything, except I became a female Indiana Jones. Told my son, we're going to find her. That's law of attraction stuff. I looked for every woman who had no makeup, didn't color her hair, somebody who wore Birkenstocks. And I just, do you know where Dr. Hulda Clark lives? Alpharetta, we found her. And I told my son, he goes, what are we going to do when we find her? See, he knew his mama. And I said, you squeeze your shoulder. And then when I do that, you just smile. Because Bill, he was just a towhead like you with those blue eyes, aquamarine eyes. I'm sure you were. And I knocked on the door. I said, I need you to see Dr. Clark, my son. Squeeze the holder, smiled. And she said, I don't see any patients. I said, you will see him. Double squeals, double smile. We got in the door, 3 days. He was a changed young man. Went back to school. I didn't tell anybody because we do real health, Bill. That's what we do. And I was not going to share that with them. I said I gave him a vitamin. It was a parasite cleanse that I do to this day. When I saw the transformation of my son, I booked back to Dr. Hulda Clark and I said, you must mentor me. And Bill, without making, into my monologue here, but I said, you must mentor me. See, never give up on your dreams, ladies and gentlemen. Never give up on finding the solution because the solution was in you all along. And I said, but what if I'm the woman? I'm the person that's going to carry your message long after you're gone, Dr. Clark. See, she was retired. She was 70 like me. I was 29. She let me in. And in that, it changed my life, changed my practice, changed the trajectory of how many. I know we talk about the 1.5 million pounds with a toxic fat loss. I'd love to have calibrated how many parasites are out of my clients. That would be fun.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I wrote a goal card, Bill, as you well know. It was dated March 1984. And it said during this magical mentoring time that I had for 2.5 years with Dr. Clark, and it said, I will pen the Eastern medical version of the PDR. Now I retire. As you said, the only thing I don't do well is retire. I retired for like 3 weeks, came back at it with the pandemic and just reconfigured. That's how we found each other. What a blessing through Rock. What a blessing that we met and all. But I was looking for a protocol. This young man was 6 years old, a little older than my son. And he was off the rails because he was confined, had attention deficit. Maybe there's something in these notes that I had from Dr. Clark. I kept them all these years. Out fell the goal card that said, I will pen the Eastern medical version. I was in the process of taking my dissertation because I'm not going to write. I'm just not going to read or do anything like movies, maybe read, but write I did. I turned my dissertation into the acclaimed multi-country bestseller on Amazon. I was almost done with that. And I'm going, honey, said to my big bear, what do you think about me doing something about this PDR thing with all my friends? And I said, but I need a name. And my husband said, well, you are a walking you're a walking encyclopedia. That's where Healthopedia, the name was born. 13 countries, widely claimed. We've sold 100,000 books. I pinch myself every single time. But then, because my why, Bill, and yours is too, better way. Got to do more. Well, ladies before gentlemen, and now the essence of a woman on the heels of our first anniversary with Healthopedia is born. The essence of a woman, unleash the feminine soul.
So that's the Reader's Digest version. And for I have to watch my my analogies now because I just found out that I'm old and I don't realize it. But so for those of you who don't know, the Reader's Digest was a little book that would always it was like the Cliff Notes, or it was just a summary of everything that you had. But I wanted before we started talking about that, I wanted to know where the people to know where you came from and who you are and what you do. Because, like I said, in that quote is the, massive men lead lives of quiet desperation. And we forget, I think we get caught up in a vortex of we lose our purpose, because everybody has a purpose. They have a whisper
Yes.
that kind of sits in their head. And you're a perfect example. But you had written that goal card, I'm going to do this, and you started doing stuff, and then you retired. And it's funny the way that God will just bring you back to your purpose. It's kind of like, you're not.
Yes. I'm not finished with you yet. You have more work to do.
Oh, Bill, you're muted. I think you just muted yourself when you leaned in. How funny. You muted yourself even. I can't hear you. But we'll Nope. We should have never leaned in and decided that we were like the Almighty. Did you hit the mute button on your computer or the Zoom? One or the other went.
How's that?
Yes, you are back.
Yeah, I guess oh, there's a little button here. So Ray, edit that out. So here, we'll do this. There's the edit point. So you're 70 years young, and you're going through this thing. And when we go back to the massive men lead lives of quiet desperate, it's because we lose our presence. We lose that because we get caught up in life in the day to day. And one of my favorite things that you just said was what your mom told you. Says, Jody, go out and give hope to people.
Yes.
And we do that
to me, because I gave her hope, pass it on. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's everybody's job, whether you're a mechanic, a babysitter, or whatever you do. You've got to give somebody hope that you can solve a problem, because we're always going back off and solving problems, and nothing's more important to people's life than their health, especially when they're starting to lose it.
Yes.
And so when you brought out Healthopedia, I think two amazing things happened at that point. Is one is you got to get that out, and 100,000 plus have benefited by reading little bits of gold. And I think it's sort of like the Bible. Is people are going to read it in different contexts on how it relates to them, and that will change their life. And then the other thing that's really amazing is that you got to complete your hero's journey, your journey, and you get to walk in, you go like, I made this goal 40 years ago.
Yes.
And it never died. It
No.
slept for a little while, it hid for a little while, it rested, but it's still alive. And how many people do you think that their health is like that? They get a little sick and they get a little down, and it's depressing, and they kind of give up. They lose that hope, that like, oh, I've tried everything, which they probably tried 3 or 5 things. And they didn't have context of time. They didn't understand of what it takes to regenerate, the phases of going back through to give them those little goals that say, oh, I am on my way. I am making progress. Let's keep going. And the question I have for you, you're 70, just like Hulda Clark was when you met her.
Yes.
Do you have someone that you're passing this on to?
Yes.
And
A million percent. And that's, that was such a loaded question. It was such a softball, Bill. Thank you so much for that. But just like the CUC in Healthopedia, our beautiful book, And it's all 6 pillars of health. This is what I did on my practice: spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, financial, and social. Now, there are people that you know in this book. You know Dame
Yes.
Doria Cordova. You know Rex Sykes. Serena Brown Travis was in the social pillar. Dr. Gary Sanchez in the emotional pillar with the Y Institute. People that just fit this. And Dr. Bernie Siegel, 96 years young, was our anchor author, Uncle Bernie. So what we did with this book, because there were old people and really old people but Bernie, when I look back at this, Bill, there is many Gen Zers and millennials in this book as there are people of wisdom, just like Holder Clark. And you know what, Bill, I didn't plan it at all. You know how I go. I just go and then I think about it later. That's just my way. And of those authors, those 40 authors, 21, see, it's the majority. Ivan Jacobs, 22 years old. All right. I mean, we go, Anna DeVere, 36. I mean, on and on and on. Kimberly Meredith, 40-ish, but she looks 30. All of these people are younger, passing that torch of Healthopedia. And I've got to say, the format is a little bit different, Bill, as you know, with our book. Chapter titled Power Quote. My power quote in Healthopedia was, miracles occur every day. Beckon them in. If you've tried 2, 3, or 5 things with your health, well, try number 6, because fall down 5, get up 6, as the Chinese proverb says, because there's an answer inside. Personally, I think it's through the work that you do with the meat suit. I think it's I know it's in the work that I do, eradicating parasites in a systemic and a simplistic way. And I go through that in the Healthopedia chapter, but you read someone's story because their story is their story. Then a philosophy, if they're a practitioner such as ourselves, belief, if they're a layperson, and then at the end, this is the other thing, Rex Sykes pointed out to me, wouldn't he do that? Uncle Rex, that we have action steps at the very end. There are 360 action steps. You can take one of those action steps every single day, give yourself a week off, and guess what? You'll come back and you'll be that much better off. And every single one of our Healthopedia Foundation's authors are featured on our Instagram page, Healthopedia 365. Now we'll be starting with the Essence of a Woman. But see, that's what I think when you know that you've been there. I too, you had your health scare. That's how you found health. I was paralyzed from the shoulders on down. Not anymore. I mean, 14 marathons and 5 triathlons later, I had a situation because of this conquering stress. It was conquering me. I didn't realize it, Bill. Even though my boys were just accomplished and everything, my very full plate turned into a turkey platter. And I
You
wasn't
know what's interesting? I'm going to interrupt you there because
interrupt away.
this is important because it goes back into personal development as well as it does health development. You notice that all the people out there that are speaking in you're such a disciple of health, and you're so passionate into it, just like I am, and just like thousands of other people. It's because we've gone through something. It was like we're not speaking from a theory that well, I read this in a book and it's probably true and data suggests this. So no, we were in it. We were in the middle of the fire and we found our way out. That's why we can speak from this platform or the stage or through a book, and we can say, no, you can't give up, because on the other side of this is a miracle that you've been searching for. And this is why I get so caught up in the hero's journey, is because there's a map.
Yes.
And if you follow the map, miracles do happen every day. And your mentor, Les Brown, or one of your mentors, Les Brown, same thing. Look at his childhood. He was educatedly mentally retarded.
Yeah, right.
And he was the dumb twin, and he wasn't doing that. And it wasn't until he walked through the fire, and look who he is and what he's done. And I get patients all the time in my offices. I never thought this was possible. And they become just crazy disciples.
Yes.
And they go out, and you can, when you've gone through that,
Yes.
it's like you're the annoying people that overcome alcoholism, or born again Christians. You're just so caught up in the excitement of what if and possibilities, and did you know this, and
It's
you can't
contagious.
help but scream from the rooftops. Well, did you know this works? And did you know that works? Did you know this? Please help, just follow me.
Yes, the health
And
evangelists. We're both Pied Pipers, and by the way, I want to give Les a shout out. He's going to be doing a drop the mic in Orlando. If anybody's within shouting distance, September 1st at the DoubleTree Universal, and yes, he asked me to share his stage, 7:30 that night.
wow, good.
September 1st again. So, and see, because wisdom doesn't end. I thought that I was done. I sold my practice, had a 100-mile non-compete. I thought I'm done. And then the pandemic hits. It was that there's always that someone, ladies and gentlemen. For me, it was Bob. He said, okay, he started. I
Bob,
said,
your
but
husband.
Bob, my husband, the
Yes.
big bear. Okay, I don't know how to do the internet. I don't have a website. I'm going to do telehealth. I'm not good at IT things. And then he said, I read the book too. And when you get to number 57, talking about Think and Grow Rich, there's not 58. And then he looked at and he put his hands on those skinny little diver hips of his. He goes, just how much yoga are you going to do? So listen to those people that are really in your amen corner, because you don't have to be finished and through. And to think that Bernie Siegel with coming back to Healthopedia now, the essence of a woman. I really I love the cover. We got it the first go around. I want to give Kathy Strauss. She's a graphic arts genius. But who knew that Bill, just because as you, that quiet desperation, you help one person, another person. I'm not even sure how, like the 10th generation of a referral during the pandemic, people were getting released, and actress Tiffany Haddish, somebody called me and said, we have to get your antiviral remedy to Tiffany Haddish. I'm going, oh, I'm going to say this on your broadcast and it's public. She'll probably hear it. I don't do movies much. And I said, oh, who is she? She said, she's an actor. Oh, yeah, I know who she is. So I go ahead. It's in the middle of the night. I courier the antiviral because she tested positive for COVID. That could have shut the whole movie down for who knows how long. She took the remedy. She was back on the set the next day. And because of you, how many gazillion times could you tell that same story? Because you're a servant leader, as I said, like Les Brown talks about it. And then I connect her with Dr. Jim Marinakis, my teacher, trainer, guru, and my partner in Healthopedia. So when we started The Essence of a Woman, I said to Dr. Jim, should we ask Tiffany? You see that she's on the book, and her story is like none other. Her hero's journey, she was in foster care. They were ready to put her in juvie because she was so rambunctious, and she just was hard to contain. And it was because of all the anger she had of what happened in her family life and domestic unrest. Well, there was one person, there's always that one person. The social worker said, you got a choice. You can go to juvie, or I'm going to put you in the laugh factory because you're kind of funny. And she started making those other foster kids in the home laugh. She said, I make these laugh. I'd make anyone laugh. Dr. Khalila Camacho Ali, Muhammad Ali's former wife, she
Yeah.
married him again at the end of his life. Her story on faith and forgiveness, people don't know that story. Guess who trained him and kept him fit for those days when he wanted to serve his country, but his faith meant more. And they nailed him. And guess what? She had one baby, and then she had a set of twins 13 months later. 9th-degree black belt. She said, I got to get in shape, and you're not getting out of shape either. She trained him at home in their apartment. Is that a great story? And then we've got Princess Dr. Maradian Ogalana. UN ambassador from Nigeria. And her African Women's Health Project International, I didn't know her. I live in Howey in the Hills, Florida. Who knew that we were going to have a book with 11 countries worldwide, a global movement? But we do, because if it's in your heart, ladies and gentlemen, just let it burn. Don't let anybody put water and
Wait,
extinguish that
you know,
fire.
one of the things, so I know that the foreword was written by my buddy, Glenn
Yes,
Depke, and so he's the menopause guru. I don't think there's anybody that knows more about natural root cause of menopause, and he does complete miracles, because that's a
yes,
time in the life when it really affects some people where it's full quality of life. But he always said, because we have a lot of conversations, and he says, women, it's so hard to be a woman because you're expected in our progressive times,
mm,
uh the the feminine energy never changes.
no,
That women are natural nurturers. They have big hearts. They need to keep order. And then we add on to our progressiveness of, well, you also need to go and kick ass in the business world, and you've got to take care of, you got 42 spinning plates in the life that men don't know.
no,
Men have no idea. And you need books like this where you hear from other women that you can do it all. You don't have to do it all. If you want to do it, you can. But the power of the female energy is unbelievable. And if we can harness that, and that's exactly what you've done in your book.
yes.
And
Unleash the feminine soul.
yeah, so anybody that's listening, well, yeah, anybody, but mostly that the women get this book, and you'll find somebody in there. You're going to find a story that you're going to go, oh, damn, that's right. I can do this. I can get this done. There's a perfect example.
Mhm.
And I think it's just so awesome that you've had that forefront of taking the global thing through Healthopedia, and you go, okay, now we're going to take this next step and we're going to go right into the essence of a woman. And I love the title too.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
it and thank you for that. And just to me as well, when you look at this, because I've got to say, Dr. Glenn Depke, I love you. And what you wrote in that forward made me cry, because as I call him, the happy hormone doctor,
Yeah.
because he really is. And so I know that he's going to get a lot of shine, and from everything that he just must. And that's where we're going with this, because we have 7 abortions. We've got a death of a spouse, even a spouse who hung himself in the house in front of the children, to addiction, to the spouse gets just like with Dr. Kalila, everything was cray cray in her life, upside down, whatever. And every woman can identify, whether it's spiritual, as I said, mental, emotional, um, physical, which Dr. Glenn Depke is with his happy hormone doctor. But we've got 3 other, one MD and a third PhD, talking about hormones. Ladies, for other reasons, you're going to know how your whores will be moaning after this book. Okay. And then financially, how to be solvent and take care of it, because those 42 plates, Bill, I was a sole support and single parent of these two boys. I didn't realize that I was living on being an adrenaline junkie, and it caught up with me. And even being in health. But then the social thing, I mean, Kim Jacobs, I'm just going to give her a big shout out. She's going to be on my show this evening. Here the doctors told her, because she had just a really strange thing, that her ovary just burst for no particular reason. And they said, well, you'll never be able to have kids. 5 children later.
Yeah.
See, we don't know. The body can rejuvenate. It can degenerate too. Watch for the warning signs of your body, the tap on the shoulder, the 2x4. Don't wait till you see Dr. Bill and I before it's the Mack truck, even though it's happened to me. But it's just so important. But to hear these stories of strength and truly an essence of a woman, Bill, I didn't know, it must have been a real great year, that 1984. I'd written a poem that's inside of the book and said, and she, who knowing who she's not, who she was created to be, steps into her greatness. That is the essence of a woman. So I put my
Wow.
poem in there. We dedicated something on a brainstorm with 40 women. That was a brainstorm. At the end, we say, we women of essence dedicate this book to the woman who just had to go into the shower to let the tears go. The woman who couldn't get out of bed, the woman who just would love to get into a pair of skinny jeans, a woman who looks in the mirror, just longs to feel young again. We write this book for you.
You want to know something?
Okay.
So what you just said is, I have a talk when I'm talking about, I do the whole holistic thing, but we're looking at a transformation. But when I do a lot of the talks, I talk about the woman that cries in the shower, because when I'm sitting there and we're going through, usually I get people coming, oh, I got headache, neck pain, back pain, some injury, and then we delve into it, and these stoic women are walking around just
In
eating
quiet
up.
desperation, just like
And
you said.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I talk about how many women are crying in the shower, or they're crying when they're trying to find something that's going to hide enough of what they feel is not perfect yet. And
Yes.
and you wear that on all day, that I'm not enough, and I'm never going to get over this, and this is not what I signed up for, this is not what I expected. And it pulls at my heartstring. Some people don't think I have a heart, but I do.
Oh, yes, you
And
do.
and
Big heart.
because that's the real pain. That's the real pain. When you get headache, neck pain, or what we call nociceptive pain, that's the ouch pain. But
Yeah.
the gnawing internal soul pain is that I'm not enough. I shouldn't look like this. The kids deserve more. My husband do. No one love. I'm not worthy of being loved. That is the biggest pain in the world. And that your poem is hits it perfectly. It's the woman that's crying in the shower when no one's looking, and it seems like nobody
Mhm.
is there, understands, which loops back to the beginning of Jody, go out and give people hope.
Yes.
And I mean that, drop the mic. Don't turn it off, but drop the mic. I think that's awesome. I think that's a good thing. So,
Well, I think what we are doing is such a good thing. And I've got to say that when you go to Healthopedia 365 and go to my channel, and I'm on several platforms, but when you hear that song behind there, when we were getting onto this Zoom, for some reason, I clicked something on my MacBook, and I heard Alicia Williamson sing in 1996. I did her background vocals for her Grammy Award winning There's Hope.
oh,
And that, my dear Bill, when you hear that there is hope, yours truly is singing about there is hope.
what a wonderful way to end this podcast, on
Oh,
going full circle and looking at the life of Dr. Jody Baer. Um, so, folks, I want you to go out and check out Jody. Go check out Healthopedia, and The Essence of a Woman is coming out. And I want you to look at or listen to this again, whatever platform you're doing that, and share this out with somebody that could use it. because this is a perfect example of not only just someone that's made great health changes in people, but look at the beginning of, here's your purpose. Go out and share this,
Yes.
and go out and do something and resurrect yourself when it doesn't seem to get there, and just do it. And when you stand on the mountain of your success and your purpose, you can look back and you see the journey. I mean, there's hope that you sang on. I mean, you see that theme. Your next book should be hope.
Maybe so, because it, it stands for to go to, to look up to heaven.
Yeah.
Then you look inside with optimism. Then see your passion outward, that passion, and then you can empower. That's what it's hope stands. And since we're on this hope gig, because this is so you, when you think you can't conquer stress, I mean, anybody that's within 400 miles should just come to your Belinda family practice, because you're that good. You're one of a kind. You really are one of a kind in your
Appreciate
heart,
that.
your passion, and commitment, that you can conquer more than the headache pain. So what is making the headache is inside of you. My quote in this book, this Essence of a Woman, and I talk about the woman in the white robe. I just want to throw this out, if I may, Bill, because the woman in the white robe found herself with a note on the kitchen table at 36. It just said, "I'm not coming home." And I knew that my husband, it wasn't that he just wasn't coming home for dinner. And I tried to make the bacon, no child support, no nothing. And I thought, I've got to be the mother and the father. And the white robe, what happened is that that my sons called 911 and they picked me up with the woo woo woo. I physically collapsed during making breakfast in my white robe. Now, the good story about that was when I was doing a retreat in a, you do these group meditations, where I saw that same regenerative white robe woman. And I know now it's Healthopedia and what I'm giving to this. So you could always recreate yourself with that hope. Just listen as you did, conquering stress your own way. I'm going to nip it in the bud. And I'm going to say one other thing before I relinquish the mic, Bill. You said in our beautiful endorsement that lightning couldn't strike twice with our book. Well, when you speak, Bill, lightning strikes every single day with your words of wisdom.
Oh, thank you.
Because you listen to those whispers of your own wisdom. And as I say, in them is life, and in life, there's hope. Thank you, Bill.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Well, everybody, this is Dr. Bill Janishak, Conquering Stress podcast. I want you to like, share, listen again, and internalize this message, because it goes beyond health and it goes beyond hope. You put those things together in your life, you will not only conquer stress, but you will conquer the life as you made it out to be. So till next time, Dr. Bill Janishak, your Belinda Family Chiropractic. This is the Conquering Stress podcast. Peace out.